So, for a recap,
we have a multiverse situation. So we have the Mother Universe, which created the daughter universe. And the way that happened is that there was a black hole that was formed in the Mother Universe. And as stuff fell into this black hole, it just ripped matter apart into its simplest component, which I think are little strings of energy. And basically, what happens at this area of a black hole is there's huge amounts of light, heat, electromagnetic radiation, etc. Because atoms are starting to split, and E equals mc squared. So as matter is transformed into energy, potential energy is getting less and less. So as E approaches M, this potential energy is constantly being lost in the form of light, heat, radiation. As you get closer to the singularity, all you're left with is just strings of energy, the simplest component of matter. Now, because this is a huge, huge object in a very tiny space, what I think happens is that there's a rip in this time and space. And all that energy now is poured out into that singularity. And the universe, which went from the size of something smaller than an atom to the size of a basketball within a tiny, tiny, tiny period, violated something that we all hold dear in physics, which is nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. But as I explained, that nothing could travel faster than the speed of light through space, but it doesn't mean that space can't expand faster than the speed of light. And the thing is, too, that because all that energy is being poured out of that one area of the universe, it actually caused the expansion of the universe and the distribution of matter in a homogeneous way. So it doesn't matter if you look this way in space, or that way in space, or that way in space, the amount of matter, visible matter, that you see will be exactly the same. Now, remember I said that as you get closer to the singularity, matter is broken up into simplest components. And what that means is that it is extremely cold at the center of that black hole. Actually, in fact, it approaches 0 degrees Kelvin. One way that we could see whether or not this whim of mine is actually correct is if you can find a space in the universe that is both large and cold, I think that would give credence to what I'm saying here. The other thing, too, is that when the universe was relatively tiny, the strings of energy were so close together and so densely packed that they were able to interact with each other very quickly and form matter. When the universe had time to expand, the strings of energy were far enough apart that some of them actually got together, but the majority didn't. And what happened was that dark matter was the dominant source of energy. And because dark energy kept pouring into our universe from the mother universe here, what that caused the universe to do is to expand. And the dark matter and matter were very much diluted at this particular point in time, let's say 10 billion years ago. Sorry, 10 billion years after the universe was formed. That the gravitational effect of the dark matter and matter was getting more and more diluted. Therefore, the expansion of the universe was becoming more and more accelerated. Okay, so I'm not saying that this is how the universe was created. I'm saying that maybe it's a possibility. Who knows? Don't forget, I'm not a physicist. Don't claim to be a physicist. So the chances of this being actually correct are 1 in a billion. But the thing is, it explains a couple of things. It explains how the universe could be created from something smaller than an atom. This split in time and space at a singularity had to be smaller than an atom. It also explains that in a black hole, information would be lost. However, what this theory does, the information is preserved, because that information isn't lost, it's actually being poured into another dimension. It also explains the proportion of matter versus dark matter versus dark energy. Dark energy makes up most of the universe. That's followed by dark matter, and maybe about 5% of the matter in the universe is visible matter. And the reason I could say that is because dark energy is being poured into our universe at a huge rate. And the strings at one time were so dense and close together that they were able to form matter. But as time went on, the strings and the universe just cooled. So at that point in time, dark matter took over. Now, because the strings are so much further apart and the universe is so much cooler, now dark energy is starting to take over. It also explains why space is so cold. Space is about 5 degrees Kelvin. Because the strings have no potential energy associated with it. It's not until you shine light or heat or apply heat to these strings that they start bonding to each other. And that's when dark energy is turned into dark matter And if there's enough source of energy, the strings are close enough together, matter will be formed. So we know from E equals mc squared that energy and matter are pretty well the same thing. And the difference is this c squared, is the potential energy. And I think we've explained where that potential energy would come from. So this is how I think the universe was created. Am I right? Don't know. But it's out there. Thanks.